Bridget, while I want to go back to something that kind of resonated with me too. You were talking about being in the homeless shelters, and having that interaction and that type thing. I think another piece of giving and one of the benefits of definitely being a giver and getting engaged is it makes you truly appreciate the things you do have in your life,
Mhm.
right? Because it shines a light that you can't even imagine until you in those moments. Can you kind of maybe tell a story or share maybe an experience that you had
Mhm.
personally from that?
And I talk to my girls about this because in Houston I go to homeless shelters, but in Nacogdoches I have actual girls that I mentor, and some of them are in college, in different parts of Texas now, but I still have that communication, and I tell them this, the experiences, and I'm at a homeless shelter, and I'm talking about something like just like getting a hamburger, right? And I'm having a
Mhm.
conversation with the youth worker there, and I said, "Oh, that." She was talking about lunch, and I said, "Oh, I want a hamburger, but I want a homemade one. I don't want to go buy one." And one of the girls said, "That must be nice to be able to make a hamburger at your house."
Mhm.
I didn't even realize that they didn't have a stove in there, because where the house in most shelters they have like a mini fridge, but they don't
Mhm.
give them like a stove or anything that they can fix food because of safety, right?
Mm.
So you have to
Mhm.
go to the community kitchen to cook your own meals if you want to cook. If you can, if you have time, or if you can cook for your family, you have to go to the community room and cook for your family. So something like making a hamburger, so simple, right? I didn't realize that they can't even do that. And so we started to talk about, at that moment, that was a time, that was a teaching moment. Let's talk about how
Mhm.
that feels and how to process that. But I didn't even think about they couldn't make a hamburger. So something simple as that. And I tell my kids, my mentees, you don't know how good it is for you to
Mhm.
be able to go to the kitchen and make noodles. Or you don't have hamburgers or whatever you want to make, but you have something. And some kids
Mm.
can't even go into a kitchen, open the refrigerator up, and then start cooking food. They gotta
Mhm.
they gotta write down a time where they can go in the kitchen. Their parent has to be there. Just going through that process, it makes you so it's so humbling. Like I've always said,
Mhm.
just
Mm.
walking away from there, and then knowing that they want to talk about stuff like boys and girls and making charm bracelets and just normal teenage stuff.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know if I would be in the right mindset to want to talk about that. I want to talk about where we're going to live, where I can go fix me a hamburger,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
but they
Right.
don't think on those things. So it's really humbling experience for me. And I tell my girls, and I tell even kids in my classroom, how blessed you are to be able to do that, because some teenagers, and they go right to school with all these things going on, and they go right to school and try to live somewhat of a normal teenage
Mhm.
life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Tressena, what about you? Uh, Experiences like that or stories that you want to share?
Well, especially when we talk about giving and getting,
Mm.
and I'm going to come from the parent aspect because as a child, there was trauma in my home, and I think I was 15 or 16. I was asked to leave because my stepfather didn't want me there anymore.
Wow.
So I know the uncomfortable and uncertainty and not having security. So that's why I provide that for my children, right? And I shared a little bit on a post on Facebook. I think, if you ever look at my post and you think, oh, she's just showing how perfect her life is. No, what I'm showing you is the healing process for
Mm.
me. That is not that my parents couldn't give it for whatever reason, it just wasn't there, but it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And not only for my own children, but for the kids that became my children when I was teaching, they need to see that a mom can be intentional, that a parent can put them first. And those are the things like, when I would get a note from a student, Miss Jones, I'm going to run away, or no one loves me, no one wants me, I would pull them close. I'd pick them
Mm.
up on the weekend and they would go out to lunch with my daughter. And so I have taken those moments in my journey and use them for something better
Mm-hmm.
so that others can see that it's possible. And if we look around us, like Bridget shared, with those children, how do you even remotely know what normal, if there's a such thing, or, I want this, and then you can keep showing up to life if they don't have some of the basic necessities. And these are our children, right? The youngest in our society. And I just feel like there's a lot of work to be done, and it's healing for me. It's encouragement for me because I realize that no matter what my journey may have been, there is something I can do to change that narrative, not
Mhm.
just for me, but for others.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a parent will see, hey, I can, show up different with my kids, and maybe a kid, because you know what I've learned, that some of my students, they follow me on Facebook. And so
Mhm.
those same kids that had challenges and struggles, there was something that connected them to me and me to them in that classroom, but now it is extended. And so I'll go through my follow list and I'll see their names on there. They don't always comment. And so that's why I give back, or that's why I give the way that I give out toward our youth or children, because my experience as a child and a youth, it was not always pleasant. And so I serve intentionally in that area for that very reason. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.